A man drops dead in the middle of Friday prayers at one of Gaza's busiest mosques. No gunshot, no explosion, no chaos. Just silence and then panic. One of Hamas' most elusive and dangerous military commanders has collapsed with no visible wounds. But behind that quiet collapse is one of the most daring, precise, and ethically explosive assassinations Mossad has ever pulled off. This was not some random street hit or airstrike. This was an execution carried out inside a mosque, during worship, in front of hundreds.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Linked to dozens of attacks on Israeli civilians. The assassin, a Palestinian-Israeli agent embedded in Gaza, trained by Mossad, wearing a bracelet that doubled as a silent, lethal weapon. This is the real story of how one of the world's most feared intelligence agencies took out a man in one of the most sacred, crowded, and politically sensitive places imaginable without anyone noticing, until it was already done. Salah Shehta wasn't just another target. By 2004, he had become a symbol of Hamas military might, credited with organizing suicide bombings, overseeing armed cells, and helping build the infrastructure of attacks that haunted Israeli security forces for years. Neutralizing him wasn't just about eliminating a threat, it was about sending a message. But taking him out wouldn't be easy. He was heavily guarded, always surrounded by loyal operatives, and smart enough to vary his movements. But there was one habit he didn't break: Friday prayers at Al-Omari Mosque. That routine became his fatal flaw. The Israeli intelligence community knew Shehta's habits, and they studied them obsessively. This wasn't a quick decision. Mossad had spent years profiling him, monitoring every move, every change in his security detail, every location he visited, every deviation from his usual routine. That data gave them the one thing they needed: predictability. And in Gaza, with limited military access and zero room for error, predictability was gold. The plan wasn't to strike from the air. That had already been tried. In 2002, an Israeli airstrike had targeted Shehta's apartment, killing him, but along with him, 14 civilians, including children. The international backlash was immediate and brutal. It became one of the most controversial moments of Israel's military history, leading to internal investigations and widespread condemnation. 2 years later, the stakes for a second attempt were even higher. There would be no bombs this time. Mossad needed a surgical solution, something clean and traceable, deniable, so they went microscopic. Enter the microneedle, an almost invisible delivery system housed inside a seemingly innocent string of prayer beads. Laced with a neurotoxin designed to induce rapid cardiac and respiratory failure, the device was created specifically for this operation. No loud noise, no visible wound, just a sudden collapse that looked indistinguishable from a heart attack. And the beads, perfect cover in a mosque full of worshippers. The man chosen to carry out this mission was known as Wissif, a Palestinian-Israeli recruited by Mossad. His background gave him the kind of cover no foreign operative could fake. He spoke the language, understood the culture, and most importantly, could convincingly pass as a devout Muslim. His cover identity as a merchant allowed him to blend into the rhythm of Gaza life, visiting markets, praying at local mosques, building a reputation that wouldn't raise suspicion when he finally walked into Al-Omari on that fateful Friday. But the prep work wasn't just about appearances. Wissif spent months analyzing the mosque's layout, the prayer routines, the behavior of security guards, even the acoustics. He made reconnaissance visits, tested crowd behavior, and studied Shehta's movement inside the building. The timing had to be perfect. Too early, and the toxin might not take effect before Shehta left. Too late, and the crowd could interfere. The moment had to be during sujud, the prostration, when worshippers were closest together, heads bowed, bodies moving in unison. In that brief window, Wissif could reach out, make the contact, and disappear into the prayer line like he was never there. When confirmation came that Shehta would attend Al-Omari on a specific Friday, everything locked into place. Final checks were run. The device had been tested. The timing rehearsed. The mission was greenlit. Inside the mosque, the atmosphere was like any other Friday prayer. Hundreds packed shoulder to shoulder. No one noticed the man with the beads slowly inching closer to the Hamas commander. No one saw the hand move slightly during the prostration. No one heard the near-silent click as the needle released its toxin. Within seconds, it entered Shehta's bloodstream, attacking his nervous system. And just like that, no sound, no fight, he collapsed. His bodyguards reacted instantly.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Nothing more than a bracelet forgotten in the crowd. Back at Mossad headquarters, it was a textbook operation. The target was neutralized. No civilians harmed. No traceable evidence. But outside that room, the fallout was intense. Hamas immediately suspected foul play. Investigations were launched. Palestinian media erupted with theories. Some praised Sheda as a martyr. Others accused Israel of violating religious sanctity. The fact that the assassination happened inside a mosque, place of worship, turned the incident into a global controversy. Religious leaders condemned it. Human rights organizations raised alarms. Even some Israeli officials reportedly expressed discomfort with the choice of location, questioning the moral cost of the operation, no matter how cleanly it was executed. And that's where this story forces a hard pause. Yes, Mossad demonstrated a level of precision and innovation that most intelligence agencies can only dream of. Yes, they removed a high-value threat with surgical efficiency. But at what cost? Conducting an assassination in a religious sanctuary during prayers raised questions that technology and tactics can't answer. Is it justifiable to breach sacred spaces in the name of security? Can a moral line be drawn in covert warfare? Or does the mission always come first? The use of a microneedle weapon, undetectable to the human eye, raises even more ethical concerns. The more advanced the method, the easier it is to deny, dismiss, or disappear the evidence. That's a nightmare for accountability. States can now carry out targeted killings while claiming clean hands because the weapon doesn't leave a trail, and the victim looks like they just died. This strategy of plausible deniability isn't new, but it's evolving. In a world where traditional combat draws global scrutiny, chemical and biological precision tools offer a darker, quieter path. And Mossad, they've been at the forefront of that shift. Still, even within Israel's own intelligence circles, the Al-Omari operation likely stirred debate. It wasn't just about eliminating a threat, it was about redefining what's acceptable in pursuit of national security. When sacred ground becomes a battlefield, the rules change, and not everyone agrees where those lines should be drawn. In the years that followed, Salah Shahideh's death remained a symbol of Israel's determination and Mossad's reach, but also a lightning rod for controversy. It was a reminder that the war on terror isn't fought just with drones and airstrikes. It's fought in whispers, in shadows, and in moments so brief they barely exist. A man walked into a mosque with a prayer bracelet. A minute later, the target was dead. That's how thin the line is between peace and panic in the world of espionage. If this story blew your mind or made you question everything you know about spy tactics, drop a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts. Was it justified? Was it too far? And where do you draw the line in counterterrorism? Don't forget to hit like, share this with someone who loves a good spy thriller, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most shocking moments in modern history. The most unsettling part. Most people in that mosque had no idea what had just happened. No explosion. No screaming. No dramatic chase. Salah Sheda just slumped forward, and by the time someone realized he wasn't getting up, the damage was already irreversible. That's how precise this operation was. That's how terrifyingly quiet. The crowd, in those initial moments, thought maybe he fainted. Or maybe he was having a heart attack after all. He wasn't a young man, and Gaza life wasn't exactly stress-free. His bodyguards moved in immediately. Panic spread fast, but it wasn't clear what they were panicking about. People didn't run for cover like they would in a bombing. There was no obvious threat. The danger had already come and gone, unnoticed by everyone except the man who carried it out. And that's the brilliance and the horror of it. Mossad's choice of method wasn't just about efficiency. It was psychological. A loud kill would have made Sheda a martyr in a flash. This sowed confusion. It made people second-guess their senses. Was it natural? Was it murder? Was it divine punishment? That ambiguity becomes its own kind of weapon. And for an agency like Mossad, ambiguity is oxygen. By the time the body left the mosque, Hamas had already locked the place down. But what could they really do? There were no gunmen to chase, no vehicles to track, no drones in the sky. Just a dead man and a lot of unanswered questions. When the autopsy finally revealed signs of poisoning, nerve agent-induced failure of the heart and lungs, it only confirmed what many already suspected. This wasn't an accident. It was an assassination. But how? That's when rumors started to swirl. Some claimed it was a traitor inside Hamas. Others said it had to be a Mossad ghost agent, someone who could walk in and out unnoticed. The truth was both more mundane and more terrifying. It was Mossad, but it wasn't a ghost. It was a man who looked like them, prayed like them, blended into the crowd. It was someone who didn't stand out, because in spycraft, the best disguise is normalcy. Wisif, the operative, was already gone by the time the news broke. He'd been extracted via a carefully planned exit route, complete with a fake identity, forged documents, and a backup team monitoring him from miles away. Everything had been anticipated, contingencies stacked on contingencies. That's Mossad tradecraft. No loose ends, no mistakes. And while the outside world debated the ethics, the politics, the fallout, Mossad stayed silent. As always, no statement, no confirmation, just whispers. But the silence only made the impact louder. This was more than just a kill. It was a demonstration. A message, not just to Hamas, but to any group watching. You can hide behind your people, your prayers, your sanctuaries. It won't matter. Mossad will find a way. And they won't need a drone strike to do it. Still, let's not gloss over the elephant in the room. They did this in a mosque, a sacred place, during one of the holiest times of the week. That choice crossed a line for many, even those who don't support Hamas. Because when intelligence agencies start using places of worship as operational zones, it raises serious, uncomfortable questions. Is anything off limits? Is there any space immune to the long arm of espionage? Critics were quick to point this out. Human rights organizations called it a violation of religious sanctity. International observers warned about the precedent it might set. If one side uses holy spaces to launch attacks, and the other side retaliates inside those same spaces, what's left? Where do civilians go when even the mosques aren't safe? But then again, what was the alternative? The last time Israel tried to kill Sheda, they dropped a 1-ton bomb on his home. The explosion leveled the building and killed 14 civilians, including children. The backlash from that operation was catastrophic, not just in Gaza, but globally. So this time, they traded brute force for surgical precision. No collateral damage, no civilian deaths, just the target. Is that better? Or just a cleaner way to do something equally controversial? Supporters of the operation argued that it saved lives in the long run, that Shahada's continued leadership would have led to more bombings, more killings, more bloodshed. That sometimes, you have to act in the gray zone to prevent even darker outcomes. And sure, that logic is cold, but in the world of espionage, cold logic is the rule, not the exception. Let's talk about the neurotoxin. This wasn't some off-the-shelf poison. It was a designer compound, engineered to shut down the body's systems without leaving obvious signs. It attacked both the nervous system and the cardiovascular system, making death appear sudden, but not suspicious. Forensic teams had to look deep to even detect traces of it. And even when they did, they couldn't trace it back to a specific source. That's the point. Mossad doesn't leave calling cards. What made it even more terrifying was the delivery method, a microneedle embedded in a single prayer bead. That's where the true innovation lies. It turns something benign, even sacred, into a weapon. And it takes assassination to a whole new level, one where the weapon is invisible, the assassin is anonymous, and the cause of death is a mystery until it's too late to matter. This kind of covert weaponry represents a shift in modern intelligence warfare. Gone are the days when spies carried pistols and cyanide pills. Now it's wearable tech, biochemical agents, microtools designed for one purpose only: deniable lethality. It's science fiction, except it's real and it's being used right now. So where does that leave us? On one hand, we're looking at one of the most meticulously executed covert operations in modern espionage. 0 civilian casualties, full operational success, no traceable evidence. From a purely strategic standpoint, it's textbook. You could almost admire the level of discipline and planning that went into it. On the other hand, it opens the door to a future where sacred places are no longer off limits, where death can come in the form of a prayer bead, where a quiet man in the corner of a mosque might not be praying, he might be watching, waiting, armed with a weapon no one can see. And that's a scary thought. Because if this is what intelligence agencies are capable of now, where do they go from here? What happens when every object, every space, every ritual becomes a potential cover for state-sponsored execution? More importantly, how do we even know when it's happening? Mossad isn't going to confirm this story. They never do. But the evidence speaks for itself. Salah Sheda is dead. The manner of his death defied logic. And every detail that's emerged since then points to one conclusion. He was taken out with ruthless efficiency by one of the most feared intelligence agencies on Earth, inside a place no one ever thought would become a battleground. It's the kind of operation that blurs the line between heroism and horror, between protection and provocation, between precision and violation. But one thing is certain, when Mossad sets its sights on you, it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of how. And as the dust settled in Gaza, what really lingered wasn't just the death, it was the how. People in the mosque that day kept replaying the moment. There was no sound, no warning. 1 minute, Salah Sheda was kneeling in prayer. The next, he was lifeless. That kind of precision doesn't just kill a man, it breaks reality for everyone who witnessed it. It turns a routine religious ritual into a scene of psychological warfare. Who else had been in the room? Was it the man next to him? The guy behind him? Could anyone be trusted? That's the deeper layer here, the paranoia. This operation wasn't just about eliminating a leader. It was about showing the reach, the power, the invisibility of Mossad. To Hamas and its affiliates, it was a chilling reminder. You can follow all the protocols, surround yourself with bodyguards, hide among civilians, even pray in the holiest of places, and it still won't matter. They'll get to you. Quietly, precisely, and by the time you realize it, it's already over. But that kind of move comes at a cost. The outrage following Shahida's death wasn't just from his followers or those sympathetic to Hamas. It came from religious scholars, legal experts, and human rights advocates across the world. Because assassinations like this force a much broader question. Does the method of killing define the morality of the act? A high-value target is one thing, but a targeted killing in a mosque, during Friday prayers, it doesn't just blur lines, it detonates them. Because even if the operation was clean in military terms, it was morally radioactive. And yet, that's the game. Covert operations are never about clean optics. They're about outcomes. And this outcome was clear. Sheda was dead. No civilians harmed. No public mess. From the operational standpoint, it was a near-perfect strike. The kind of success intelligence agencies write classified case studies about. But ethics get buried under silence and sealed files. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you're officially part of the small percentage of people who don't just click away, and that means a lot. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts, your ideas, or even what you'd like to see next. I read every single one of them, and your feedback genuinely shapes the direction of this channel. If you enjoyed the video, tap that like button, it tells YouTube this content is worth sharing. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. We've got more exciting videos coming, and trust me, you'll want to be here for them. This channel is just getting started, and your support helps it grow faster than you realize. Thank you again for spending a part of your day here with me. Stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, take care of yourself. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.